Welcome back to Literally First Class, and today we're talking all about the shame cycle of spending money. This has come up so much that we have to do an episode on this, both with clients, potential clients, conversations, just having a beat on the collective. And I want to give some context as to why this is happening. So, first of all, our experiences with money start very young. 90% of what we learn, we observe as we grow up. Think about diet culture. If you had a mom that constantly was on Slim Fast and weighing herself and, really was restrictive in her eating, she may not have said, hey, be restrictive in your eating, or she may not have limited your eating or projected that onto you, but you still learned by observing her. And you may notice that you have some of the same patterns with restrictive eating, etc. Money is the same. In fact, we just released a money mindset module inside my Apex Academy, which is my signature program for female founders that are at the multi-six heading into seven figures and beyond mark. This is where they want to master leadership, nervous system regulation, and they want to leverage their leadership archetype, which we talk all about in our somatic success method and framework, so that they can really create the life that they imagine. Money behaviors are really deep rooted. They are generational, and they are situational, circumstantial. So I want to talk a little bit about what's happened in the past 5 years or so and where I see people right now in the timeline of healing around that and like why I see this happening. So 2020, actually right around this time 5 years ago, everything was shutting down that we knew. Systems were breaking, right? We started to reevaluate things maybe in a way that we never had before. And it was kind of a mind fuck, right? It was unprecedented times. Like, I don't know that any of us could have predicted, like, we would be walking around with face masks and afraid of other people and nervous to travel. And, I don't want to get political here, but just all sorts of stuff came with COVID and the pandemic. Well, along with COVID and the pandemic came two things: more time, and some people more money. Not everybody. Some people had like an emergency pivot in their business, which also, prioritized getting support with coaching or taking something that hadn't been previously online and bringing it online. So for people like myself, I mean, we grew our team overnight during that time. It was very lucrative time. There was this bubble of success that occurred. I also saw an influx of what I call COVID coaches, people that were like, well, let me just try this whole online thing because I see an opportunity here. And that's smart, but some of them were charging amounts they shouldn't have been charging, didn't have proof of concept, really didn't know what they were doing. And unfortunately, some people had bought those programs. But with this influx of time and money, again, for some people, or maybe there was even like relief programs that they had, people were online more. They were open to enrolling in a coaching program, or they were open to spending, their resources, time and money on personal development because it's like, well, what else am I going to do? I'm not going anywhere. I can't go into my office. We're not allowed to, and we're all stuck at home anyway. So they put that into purpose. And so what we saw was people were spending lots of money in that time period. People were investing lots of time. People were trying anything. They were very open minded. They were, trying all the things. And then we fast forward to 2022, where I saw a huge shift in the landscape of online entrepreneurship and money spending patterns, which is what I want to talk about. Right before this, we're noticing the price of groceries going up. We're noticing that the dollar isn't going as far. We're noticing that this post-COVID hangover that I've talked about in terms of mental health and stress has not actually gone away. There's still this lingering feeling of like, well, what's next? Right? And like, well, if all the school systems like shut down and, I started questioning all this, like, what even is normal? And we went back to this place called normal-ish, I call it, which is that, okay, well, now I go into the office maybe 2 days a week and I'm not required to go in, but then I'm also online more because I'm more connected, and anything that wasn't online now is. And I'm on Slack and I'm on Zoom and I've got all this extra online stuff that I've got to run as part of the infrastructure and tech stack for my company, right? Or, to be in corporate. So it's stretching people's nervous system beyond what their capacity is because now they have less time and less money. The dollar's not going as far. Eggs are 18 fucking dollars. We're losing our mind because we have to be in all the places all the time, including going back to this normal-ish kind of in person, kind of not thing. And it was a weird place. And so a lot of people, they were really beating themselves up about the money they spent during COVID or in the years prior because they're like, man, they felt like on some level they should have known better. They should have known a recession was coming. They should have known inflation was going to happen. They should have saved the money that was so good then or that they had then or whatever, right? They beat themselves up. And shame comes with self beat up, which is like, I should have known better. And now I'm embarrassed. Now I'm a failure. They make it mean something, now fill in the blank. And so it makes them really nervous to spend money again, because not only is it about lack of trust in the market for, who is serving them, AKA if they bought something from a COVID coach, they bought a fart in a jar and they realized, oh my God, this isn't the result I wanted. This person isn't even like certified to do this work. And I don't even know what I bought for an exponential amount of money. They don't trust themselves, not only to make those decisions, but with their spending patterns, right? Because they're coming from shame. I should have known better. I shouldn't have done that. And then the self beat up perpetuates. Now, in addition to, COVID coaches coming online and eggs being $18, it's an exaggeration. In addition to all of this and the self beat up, what we're seeing is that people are they're sitting with their wallet in their hand, nervous to make an investment, and they're experiencing credit card creep. So it was like, I'll just put it on my card because when I made these investments before, they all worked out for me. Or I'll just figure it out later, or in the hopes of it working out, or I need this to work out energy, I will make the investment. And sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. I've made some really powerful investments myself from the space of like, be, do, have energy. Those of you that are in personal development, it's like, be the result, be the leader you want to be by making the investment and knowing that it's like in creation of your future. And we have to do our due diligence. So now people are asking more questions. There's more discernment. They've got more debt they might be carrying and they're a little bit nervous to make these investments now. So I want to bring this back to what I see in terms of patterns and healing and money story when we have these things. So when we are first healing something, there is the unlearning, there is the unbecoming, the stripping away, right? And then there is like an overcompensation strategy that happens unconsciously, usually in the opposite direction as we heal. I always get the image of, in Finding Nemo, where Nemo goes up to the boat and they're all like, don't touch it. And he's like, I'm going to touch the butt. And he takes his fin and he goes right like this. And he taps the fin on the butt on the boat. And he's like testing edges, right? He's testing boundaries. It's like an overcompensation strategy. He's just now found his voice and he's starting to realize like there's this whole world out there. There's this whole other way of being outside the bubble of my little coral reef. And I love that as a way to illustrate the edge of something and really testing the boundaries of things. But when we're in an overcompensation strategy, it can keep us from actually moving the needle on our business because we still need mentorship, right? We still get to hire somebody that can support us through the thing that we might be struggling with, that we might be challenged with, so that we can go through it faster. Because if you're not paying in money, you're paying in time, right? If you're not paying in money, you're paying in time. And so the overcompensating, going all the way to the other end is like, well, I'm not going to spend anything. I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm going to be really responsible. All great things. I'm not going to make any investments because I don't trust myself to make them because the ones I did make didn't pan out or I should have known better. And now I don't trust my ability to make a decision or I don't trust myself with money once I have it. And we make up all these things. And maybe there's nothing to heal there with your money mindset. Maybe there's some external circumstances that actually happened in a really weird unfolding that we all kind of got tangled in. Because I don't know anyone that hasn't been affected by this. I mean, multi-million-dollar companies have been affected by this. Okay, many of them. You are not alone if it's been, more challenging or more confusing in the way that you are making investments. the way you navigate those. And so there has to be this like both and. So we have our original place. We have the overcompensation on all the way on the other end of the spectrum. It's an extreme. It's the complete opposite, right? It went from, oh, I'll spend my money on this and I'll spend my money on that to I'm not spending my money on anything. But then we have to find the recalibration ground, which is like, you know, I'm going to spend a little bit of my money. I'm going to budget. I'm going to bake that in. I'm going to like pay off my debt while I also make an investment. I'm going to ask better questions that get me better answers to make a better decision rather than not make any decision, rather than not invest in anything. And so, this is what I'm seeing. I think we're coming out of it. I think we're going to continue to see people come out of it this year. I'm noticing people are willing to make investments if there's like flexibility. So they don't want to get locked in to like something they might feel handcuffed by just in case it doesn't work out, just in case they don't trust themselves. And, creating a lot more flexible options on the front end, lower commitment, more fast action incentives, more time that offers customized solutions really is where I'm seeing things go. And I think it's the result of coming out of this overcompensation strategy where we feel like we just should have known better. So if that's you, yes, there might be money mindset stuff for you to work through and move through as it relates to spending equaling shame. But also know that maybe you got caught in this kind of weird, unprecedented circumstantial bubble that a lot of people have gotten tangled in too. And so, yes, there might be something to heal, but there also might just be a different approach available. Like, how can you do both? Would be my question to you. How can you be responsible and invest in your future? How can you save yourself time by investing in a mentor that can help you close time and do things faster while also saving money? How can you pay down your debt while also getting the support that you need? Right? How can you ask better questions that help you learn to trust yourself again while also being clear about what your expectations are in the program with that coach or understanding what it's like to work with them and making sure that it's the right kind of support for you. This is why, in our Apex Academy, I've spent so much time over the past, let's see, it's 3 years now, almost 3 years we've had that program, creating this as a hybrid program because I noticed that there were like lots of ways that either we were supported with strategy in one program or healing in another. I was like, how can we do both? So we do 80% of the nervous system as the strategy and about 20% of the strategy because it's like awareness is great, but what is it all for if we're not taking aligned action beyond that? Like, why know this cognitively if I'm not going to put it into motion and actually move the needle on my business? What does that look like putting it into motion? How do I do that? So that's where the action comes in, but it's not super like doing, it's the doing and the being. So that was one way we created the hybrid program. The other way we created a hybrid program is I noticed that a lot of coaching programs were either like all group or then all one-on-one. I don't want just one-on-one. Sometimes I want community. Like, can we normalize these conversations? Can someone and a conversation or a thought pattern or something happen in this idea where we're bouncing ideas off of each other? Can that really expand and stretch my brain in a way that's like, whoa, I didn't even think about that. Or like you're doing business this way, or like, wow, you have like a million views on your YouTube? Like, we're not even using YouTube. I never thought of it that way. And so getting input and putting yourself in a room of women or leaders that are just, really going to stretch you in some great ways and have that sense of community for support to normalize things that maybe feel delusional right now to you. So there's that. And then there's like, and missing that in the one-on-one, but then in group, you're like, I need a little custom support. Like, what is this? Some cookie cutter thing? Like, I watch the modules, but like, some of it resonates, but like not all of it, or like my business is a little bit different, or like my team and infrastructure is a little bit more unique, or here's where I'm at in my company. We're not just growing, we're not just at the $2 million mark. We're at that other transitional place at $5 million. And, we're going beyond that, or we're trying to 10x from 10 million to 100 million. They're all different places in businesses that need different kinds of support. And so in the Apex Academy, we built in the option along with the group calls to book in one-on-one with me and our master coach, our somatic success master coach, Jelena, which has been so amazing. And people use that all the time. So you get both. There is not a one size fits all. right type of way to do a program, which is why we try to do a program that really takes into account different nervous systems, different experiences, and really has trust and relative safety, I'll say, in mind when we work with you. That's super important because you might be coming from an experience where you don't trust yourself with money or decisions that you've made. And my hope is that this can provide an on ramp for helping you heal that experience. Um, in that you can learn to trust yourself again. You can make powerful decisions. You are a powerful decision maker, and that past mistakes don't have to determine your future. It's all okay, and that you can learn how to do both. So I hope that this finds you. Obviously, like there's a whole somatic component to shame and where that exists, um and what happens there in the psychosomatic loop, which is like kind of more of a coaching space. And if you want to learn a little bit more about what somatic work is, you can listen to my last episode. But spending and shame can go hand in hand. Yes, through what you learned growing up, but also I think especially in the past 5 years, my encouragement to you is to look at this differently and ask yourself how you can make this a win-win for you and your business as you move forward into the rest of this year. Like, I don't need to convince you that investing is powerful. Like, you already know that. But how can you do both, be in a stretchy place and get the support you need, pay off the debt, and really rewrite the story on trusting yourself now? But I hope this episode finds you well. And if you need anything at all, you can just shoot us a DM. Happy to answer questions. If you want to book a call with myself or the team, again, just shoot us a DM, an email, and we'll get you on the calendar and make sure we answer any questions so that you can make sure you're doing your due diligence and your homework to make sure that you're finding the right program and the coach for you. And maybe we're not it. And we'll be honest about that. You won't find that with every coach, but I'll tell you, like, hey, that's not in my scope, or we don't do this, or you know what, I have somebody else in mind based on what you're telling me that I think would be a better fit for you. And we'll put you in touch with them if we have them in our network. So I will see you on the next episode. But in the meantime, keep it first class.